The president gave us a little preview yesterday. He was giving a speech largely about the economy, talking to the National Association of Realtors, but maybe he previewed a little bit of some of the shots he wants to
did. I mean, listen, when the debates start in June for Democrats, they'll start shooting at each other, metaphorically. Until then, the president, Jed, is setting the tone.
He sure is. And you can't fully appreciate it unless you take a listen to what he said. So let's tune in.
We have 25 people now running for the office of president, and some of these people are stone cold crazy. They're promoting the biggest socialist takeover in the history, really, of the world. Green New Deal. Nobody has any idea what the hell it is. They know that you can't take a plane anymore. You have to take a train to Hawaii. Train. If they can't build from San Francisco to Los Angeles, what's going to happen when they say, let's build a train to Europe? I don't want to hit it too hard. I want to save it for the election because I don't want them to change. I don't want them to have time to pivot. I want them to go with this stuff. But we still have to be careful, and it'll never happen as long as I'm president.
Look, he was able to define all of his Republican opponents back in those primaries in 2016, and then largely was able to do that to Hillary Clinton.
This is the key to his success, and he knows it. The fact that he talks like regular people who are sitting around their dinner table having these conversations. There's no political correctness. They're not trying to sound elitist or Washingtonian or like some politician and how they should sound. He's just talking to people, and he's not afraid to say how he really feels and just, put it out there, and this is why he won. So he knows that, and he's looking at the Democratic field of everyone. There's a whole bunch of wannabes out there. I mean, Beto O'Rourke is trying to be some combination of AOC and President Obama on a constant basis.
He's already had to restart it because 1.0 didn't work.
Right, and Trump's just saying, you know what, I'm just going to do me. I'm just going to be me. People liked it last time. They're going to appreciate it this time. And the thing is, he's not phony. He's just him, and that comes through.
Yeah, he pinpoints their vulnerability. So for Pete Buttigieg, it's Alfred E. Newman. It's Mad Magazine, right? Too young, not ready. And creepy Joe Biden, crazy Bernie Sanders, and ultimately that gets voters to say, well, why is Bernie so crazy? Oh yeah, government-run economics and socialism, maybe not a great idea right now that the economy's booming. So it's smart to get out ahead a lot of those things, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And so
well, we're not going to tell you what we were talking about in the break. But we have another story for you. If you were watching, it's on Bill Maher, right?
Yep, that's right.
Am I correct? Fran Lebowitz, she's a liberal author, sometimes actor. She does a lot of commentating. Anyway, she made some comments about our president and the treatment that he deserves on the program. Listen to this.
Impeachment would be just the beginning of what he deserves. Not even scratching the surface of what he deserves. We should turn him over to the Saudis, his buddies, the same Saudis, who got rid of that reporter. Maybe they could do the same for him.
It's like everyone's too, I mean, it's a live show. You don't really want to see the president dismembered by the Saudis.
No, I don't.
I don't like Donald Trump either, but no matter who the president is, we do not want physical harm.
No. I saw your face when I said it. I didn't even realize that I said it. I had 12 cups of coffee. I regret saying it. I did not mean that.
And you did.
And I regret saying it.
Right.
I regret that everyone misinterpreted it.
Yes.
Because they misinterpret everything.
Right.
So at least it's sort of clarifying, but to say everyone misinterpreted it, to put it on the audience that was sort of egging her on, the Bill Maher audience, it was remember Khashoggi, the journalist, the columnist, who was killed with a saw, basically, this horrendous, heinous murder. The President of the United States should face that. And, let me blame the audience because you misinterpret. No, we didn't misinterpret what you said.
She was onto it there. She was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, but you misinterpreted it.
She knew she had to walk it back, though. I mean, she caught herself and she realized, this did not play well. And it's always a question of who can get away with what.
Right.
If you're a comedian, apparently you can get away with certain things. If you don't define yourself as a comedian or you're not making a clear joke, it's a very tough line. I do agree with Bill Maher, though. It is live television, and sometimes stuff comes out of your mouth, you say it, and then you're like, hold on a second, and you do have to kind of...
I think someone should be killed with a saw.
She thought she was being funny. She thought she was being funny, and the whole show has a comedic...
syndrome, and it just pops out.
Oh, my goodness. To your point, it matters who says it and where you say it. Like, if I today decided to say someone should get the Khashoggi treatment...
No, that would not go well.
No, I mean, that would not go well.
Yeah.
Yeah, my key card would not work going into Fox News Channel tomorrow morning.
Don't do that, Pete.
I won't do it. I won't do it. No one deserves
But when you've
that
lost to
treatment.
Bill Maher, and even Bill Maher says, hey, you went a little far. Yeah, you went really far.
Right.
We begin with the Attorney General, William Barr. Remember, he's been under fire from Democrats. Remember that the week started with him joking, pushing back against Nancy Pelosi, saying, where are your handcuffs, when he was up on Capitol Hill. He ends the week in San Salvador, highlighting what the Justice Department is doing to crack down on MS-13. He does exclusive interviews with our own Bill Hammer, talking about folks like James Comey right there, as well as an interview.
It was a really interesting interview.
Absolutely. And he interviewed with the Wall Street Journal, where, among other things, he bluntly said, quote, government power was used to spy on American citizens. That's got folks like Comey a little bit upset this morning.
Yeah, so Jim Comey, the former FBI director, took to Twitter and had this to say. This is Jim Comey. He said, the AG should stop sliming his own department. If there are bad facts, show us or search for them professionally and then tell us what you found. An AG must act like the leader of the Department of Justice, an organization based on truth. Donald Trump has enough spokespeople. He went on with another tweet saying the president claiming the FBI's investigation was treason reminds me of something a Russian once said. A lie told often enough becomes truth. That shouldn't happen in America. Who will stand up?
Why is he weighing in at all? Are people curious? Seriously, why?
He's
I
on
know he wants.
defense.
Well,
He's
I know
worried.
he wants to be a political commentator. That's his new role. He wants to be out there weighing in on politics left and right. But aren't people tired of listening to him? I mean, this is the guy who completely messed up when it came to the Hillary Clinton investigation. It was so ridiculous watching him skirt around gross negligence. Oh, she was extremely careless, but I'm not going to call it gross negligence because I don't want there to be any criminal violations here. And he messed up so royally that so many people are so tired of him. I don't even know if people on the left have the stomach for Comey's commentary.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think he has a base or a constituency prepared to
Yeah.
defend him. He's out there flapping. And now that Bill Barr has said he's willing to go back and look at where it really started, he knows he's under fire.
Well, look, and Molly Hemingway had a great tweet where she was basically saying, isn't it interesting that James Comey, who's being investigated basically by Bill Barr, is tweeting out there and attacking the Attorney General. When the president does stuff like that, it's obstruction of justice, according to his critics. James Comey, who's maybe a little fearful, is all of a sudden lashing out. Well, what has him worried? Why is he lashing out? Here's what Bill Barr told our own Bill Hammer.
Been trying to get answers to questions, and I found that a lot of the answers have been inadequate, and I've also found that some of the explanations I've gotten don't hang together.
Why does that matter?
If we're worried about foreign influence, for the very same reason we should be worried about whether government officials abuse their power and put their thumb on the scale. I'm not saying that happened, but I'm saying that we have to look at that.
James Comey has a lot to say about you. What do you think of him?
Well, I've noticed one of the talking points these days is, oh, isn't it a tragedy? You know, Barr is losing his reputation or his legacy is being tinged because of his service in this administration. I don't think those people are really concerned about my legacy.
Baller Bill Barr. I mean, this guy doesn't care. And he doesn't care about his critics. He wants to get to the bottom of it. It's very refreshing to see someone in such a senior position be that candid.
Yeah, he shouldn't care.
He shouldn't.
He shouldn't care at all. And there's so many people surrounding him that do care. They care about the court of public opinion. This is a guy who's coming out and saying, I don't care what you think of me. I'm not here for the court of public opinion. I'm here to figure out why this investigation was begun in the first place. I'm here to investigate the investigators to see if what kind of spying was going on. Was it merited? He wants questions answered. This is like the only guy on the whole scene that's actually looking for questions to be answered and doesn't care what the media or we have to say about it.
And he's also fair to people. I mean, he said about Bob Mueller. He said Bob Mueller wasn't charged with looking into the dossier and that his job was there collusion, was there obstruction, Russia's interference in our elections. He stayed right there. Now it's our job to look at the poison tree of the investigation and find out what happened.
And Bill Barr making clear he doesn't care what the critics say. He's going to investigate this no matter what. Saul Weisenberg rose to his defense last night. And remember, he's the former deputy independent counsel. And he says what Comey was saying in his tweet is a total lie. Watch.
The Attorney General did not slime his own department. The Attorney General said that if government officials acted improperly and abused their power and put their thumb on the scale, that's something that everybody should know about. Last week, I went to Rod Rosenstein's farewell at the Department of Justice. Christopher Wray was there, Bill Barr was there, Rod Rosenstein was there, Jeff Sessions was there. Does that sound like somebody who is sliming his own department? It's a complete lie. Bill Barr has not said one thing since he became Attorney General to slime his own department.
That picture that Saul Weisenberg is talking about, the farewell ceremony for Rod Rosenstein, pretty stark when you see Jeff Sessions there, the former Attorney General, who didn't seem to have the same spine that Barr now has to say, look, I don't care about the critics, I'm going to get to the truth.
Isn't it crazy, though, the amount of controversy that Barr has stirred just by saying, listen, I don't know exactly what happened. I just want to find out what happened. I just want to look into it. The idea of him just saying, let's look into it, has stirred so much trouble on the left. They can't bear the idea that this guy just wants to get to the bottom of the facts. The same way that he bottom lined that Mueller report, and he said, this is the actual case. Let's get through, Mueller's novel that he wrote here, and let's just bottom line it. That bottom line seems to really bother people. Facts are really stubborn for some people.
Well, because they hadn't been covering it for a long time,
That's
and then
right.
suddenly the Attorney General comes out and talks about it, and they're forced to report on it. But
All right, live pictures back to Philadelphia as we await the former vice president. A nod to his slogan, or perhaps his messaging on those big jumbotrons. United is his message. We'll see how that plays across the country. To talk about it, Michael Knowles, host of the Michael Knowles Show, on podcasts, wherever you listen, dailywire.com, other places known for greatness to listen to Mr. Knowles. The last time you were with us, Michael, you were talking about Julian Castro, who was announcing his run that day, and you said that announcement was about as significant as what you had for breakfast. We'll let the viewers decide how true your prognostications were. What do you think of the vice president's race? Perhaps a little bit more significant than your breakfast order?
I think, unfortunately, much more significant than my breakfast order. By the way, I think my prediction was correct because until you just said his name, I had forgotten that Julian Castro was running for president at this point. Joe Biden, however, poses a significant threat to the president. Forget the national polls. When you look at the individual polls in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, he's up between 8 and 10 points over Donald Trump. If the election were held today, Joe Biden would win it, possibly in a landslide. And
it's almost like we planned this segment because we actually have one of those polls from Pennsylvania, the former vice president's home state, and he is up by almost 10 points, depending on which poll you look at, over President Trump. What has happened to all the blue-collar voters that flipped from Obama to Trump, now flipping back to Biden? Where has the Republicans lost their way on this?
Well, Joe Biden is going into this race right now looking pretty clean. He's been out of politics for a few years. Nobody has really been attacking him for anything other than giving people back massages and smelling their hair. So he's going in with some advantage. Nobody has hit him on his actual weaknesses. He's a liar. He's something of an unctuous, smiling politician, so they can hit him on not having a whole lot of substance. He's somewhat corrupt. There is significant corruption in some of his son's dealings and influence peddling in China and Ukraine.
I would say significant allegations. I'm not sure any of them have been proven yet. The going thought, though, in politics is you don't hit somebody on their weaknesses. You hit them on their strengths. Joe Biden's strength is the idea of being able to connect to the middle class, the guy who rides Amtrak to and from Delaware, the guy who can talk to folks in an ice cream store better than just about anybody else. His message, we're told, when he takes the stage, is going to be as a president for everyone. He's already framing this as Biden versus Trump, not even talking about the nomination for the Democratic Party. Do you feel as though that's a little premature, or should everyone just sort of get ready to get the graphics going of Biden versus Trump?
Certainly it's premature. There are 22 other candidates in this race. There will probably be another 22 before the whole thing is over. I do agree, though. People, you want to hit him on his connection to voters. The other strength that he's been campaigning on is that he has so much experience. He's been in politics for 50 years. He's been in office since he was 26 years old. And I think this is the real place that eventually President Trump could hit him on if he wins the nomination, which is that in all of those 50 years, Joe Biden does not have a banner accomplishment to his name. He's been in office for 50 years. What has he done? Donald Trump's been in office for 2 years. He's had a relatively very successful presidency. I think that's where you'll be able to see the distinction.
Well, and also it seems as though the president is laying out trying to draw this distinction on China. We keep hearing China, China, China from President Trump, and we know Vice President Biden has downplayed that before. Mr. Knowles, we appreciate it, and we will check these prognostications the next time we have you on, still see if you're still batting 100.
Good to see you, Leland.
Good to
Sounds
see you, sir. All right.